Aloha everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to try something new and skip my intro on these longer playlists so that way we could get straight down to work. Anyways, we're continuing on with Divi and advanced custom fields, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use the repeater field. You do need to have Advanced Custom Fields Pro to use the repeater field, and as always the relevant links are down below. If you like the fact that I'm skipping my intro on here and just getting down to work, make sure you hit that like button and maybe subscribe if you're new, and let's get started. So here we are back in our test environment. Just real quick, once again, we have this website here that has nothing in here but the Divi theme installed and advanced custom fields. In a previous video, I showed you how to use advanced custom fields with Divi, and here we have a text field showing up and we have a link field showing up that is a clickable link that the author puts in here. So let me just show you that field group that we created. We created this field group called Author's Notes, and it has the notes and the product link. And you'll see I made a couple other videos and we have more links here as well. And the other thing we did in the previous video is I showed you how to create a Divi template for these fields to show up on a specific post type. Now, this is set up to show up on every blog post this website creates, but you can set it up however you need to. Let me show you that here. So here we are in the Divi theme builder, and we created a template for all posts. And in this all post template, we created a custom body that has our title and our content. Then down below it, we made a box with a black border around it so we could see it with our fields. So this is pulling in our data from the fields note that you can see here. We use the dynamic content to pull that in. If you open this guy, you could come down here and find your field group that you created and pull in the data. So we pulled in the data from the notes, and we created a link here. Again, this is just a text block in the Divi builder that's pulling in the data from the product link. So this is just going to pull in the text, and then what we did was we used this link field to once again pull in the data from the product link. Okay, and if you come over here to our example post, you'll see the author has a place to write their final notes and also to add a link. This field down here, the product name, that was used for creating a button. We're not using that right now in this example. So we have a place for the author to come and put their final notes, and maybe this is a link towards the resources. So what if the author has multiple resources in which it wants to use? And that's, of course, when you would use the advanced custom field, the repeater field. So as you can see from here, they could only enter one link. So we want this author to be able to post multiple links. Okay, so here we are back in our field group. And the reason why this repeater isn't showing up over here when we do our edit post is because I have it hidden with some conditional logic. So let me just go in there and change those settings. Okay, so now that we have that repeater field showing, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this link here, and I'll delete this product link here too. For now, we're just doing links. We're not gonna create buttons or anything. We're just gonna go ahead and update this real quick. Okay, using the repeater fields within Divi isn't straightforward. Using it with code on the back end of your website is a lot more powerful and more functional than I have found using the Divi post editor. So there are some workarounds that I found, and for now I've only tried this with the link field, and I'm sure this works with the text field and other fields, but I'm not sure how it works with the combination of fields and stuff like that. So let's go into our repeater field. If you want more info on how to set up a repeater field, check out my video that I made on the repeater fields. And you can watch it up until the part where I go into the code in the back end of the website. And come back to this video if you want and learn how to use it with Divi. So let's go into our repeater field. And you'll see we called it links. Now this is just a label like this. And what's really important is our field name is links. This is a repeater field. As you'll see here, we selected that. Now, you do need the Advanced Custom Fields Pro version to get the repeater field option, so I'd recommend you purchase that. And we have our instructions that says enter URLs here. This is not going to be required. As always, if you make this required and the author doesn't fill out this section, they won't be able to publish the post, so you want to be careful where you use this required field. Now within our repeater field that we created here, we have our link field, okay? Now you only need one of these in the repeater field. Okay, so let's continue with our repeater field settings before we move on. This basically is just what's gonna show up when the row is collapsed. Here you could place a minimum row and a maximum row. You could have it laid out. We're gonna use the row. Button label is going to be add URL. This is what's going to show up similar to this where it says add field. When you want the author to add a new URL, this is what the button's going to say. We're going to have no conditional logic. Again, this is in our field group. These are field group settings now. That's going to show up in every post that we create. So let's go into our link field real quick. This is not going to be an in-depth tutorial. I have a video on using the link field in Advanced Custom Fields already. So our field label is going to be called link. Our field name is link. You can find that up here too as well. This is the type of field and this is the name that we gave it. And this is the name that's important, is the field name, okay? So this is a field type link. The instructions are URLs. We're not going to make this required. We are going to use the link URL return value and we're going to have no conditional logic. So let's go ahead and close this field here for some clarity. Let's just go ahead and update all this. So our author came in here and write their notes. Let's say this was an article they were writing. And what they're going to probably do is, let's say, leave some resources. Okay, so here's their label and their instructions, enter URLs here. So they're going to come and then they're going to add a new URL. So they're going to select the link here. Let's just say something like google.com. And because this is a repeater field, they can now add another URL. Here's our button that we called add URL. So we're going to go ahead and do that and create a new link. And for fun, let's just go ahead and add one more. Okay, so we have 3 links and we're just going to go ahead and update our post real quick. And now we need to get this repeater field into our field template. Because of course, if we come back to our page and refresh it, you'll see our links aren't showing up yet. The link that we deleted is gone. But now we need to get this repeater to show up in our template. So here we are in our post template with our product link from before. And this was all already styled to look like a link and act like a link. Okay, so what we're going to do is just going to go ahead and get rid of this information in here. Okay, so now we have a fresh link. In this text field, we want to go grab that data. So we're going to grab this one. We're going to come in here. We're going to find our repeater field and you'll see we have here links. Okay, so let's just go ahead and see what that looks like on our front end. I'm going to save and refresh. And you'll see it's not pulling in the data. And there is some workarounds with Divi that I have found to help start pulling in the rows. When you come in here and create links, in the back end, Advanced Custom Fields is working. It's creating a list of links and it's creating a row, okay? And it's also creating functions that is looking for if there are rows here. And it wants to spit out that stuff on the front end. Divi just hasn't quite shown it how. So I have found some workarounds. And one of the workarounds I found is if you come over here to our field, our repeater field, and come into our edit, you'll see here that there's a minimum and maximum rows. Now this is a limited workaround because what if you wanted unlimited rows? If you wanted unlimited rows, so far I haven't found this to work. Let's say in this particular post, there's no need for more than five rows, okay? So we're gonna put here a maximum of 5. We're gonna leave the minimum at 0. And we're going to go ahead and update this, okay? Let's come back in here to our theme builder and we have our text field here that is pulling in this data. And what we're going to do is going to go ahead and delete this. And what happens is that when we come in here and create rows, as I said before, Advanced Custom Fields is working in the background and it's pulling in this data and it's also assigning these subfields with tags it could identify. Okay, so let's come over here to our theme builder, come over here to our text field, and let's go ahead and click open this dynamic content. And if you scroll down here, you'll see we have our field group. We called our repeater field links, but this is not going to pull in the correct data that we need. And if you look up here, you'll see that I've tested this, so I have all kinds of different fields up here. But you'll see here it says custom fields because it recognizes, Divi recognizes that you've created these custom fields. These are fields that Divi uses that you could use, and these are custom fields you've created, and these are the field groups you've created. So if you come in here, you'll see that we have our links right here. If you come back to our repeater field, we called it links. And then within our repeater field, we have a link field called link. In this first row here, what we want is the links 0 link. And this is because advanced custom fields starts with 0. So when it's calling in this row here, it's looking for row 0. So we're going to pull that in. We're going to click. We're going to save it. Come back in and refresh, and you'll see now it's pulled in our first link that we had there. Let's come in here now and duplicate this row right here, this text field. So we're just going to go like this. We're going to come in here and edit it. We're going to go into the text body. We're going to go and delete this guy. And we're going to pull in the second link that it's looking for in links 1 link, okay? The other thing we need to do is come back over here to our link that we created for this text module and match that up too. So we want links link 1. Let's go ahead and do that for this one as well. So we're looking for links 0 link is the row, and we're going to come in here and change this. So we're going to match it links 0. So let's just go ahead and save this, come back and refresh. And you'll see now it's pulling in the data from the second row. Just for repetition's sake, let's come in here and do that for our third one that we have. We're going to duplicate, come in here and edit our text field and delete this guy and pull in a new one, which is going to be our links to link. We're going to be yes. Come down here, match it up. Save and refresh. And it is pulling in all 3 of our repeater fields, which is awesome because I scoured the internet looking for anything like this. Okay, so there are some more workarounds that you have to do when you're doing something like this. What I found was that if you do not come to a post like we are here and pre-fill these examples, they won't show up here. So when you come in here and you want to find data for these rows that haven't been created yet, let's say we don't have an example post. Let's say you're making this website for someone that hasn't have a post blog yet. These fields, that data won't show up, okay? So what you need to do is create those field groups, come to a post like we are, and add those rows, okay? So we had a maximum of 5 rows, right? So we're gonna add a URL and add another one, create fields for them, and create links for them. And when we update this post and publish it, you'll see that here it is not showing all 5 of those rows that we had. So there's 2 different things that we need to do. The first thing we need to do is make a row for each one of those. So if we said that this author can make 5, we need to make 5 rows. We also need to come in here and make 5 links so that we have data to pull in. So let's do that. Let's just update these. I'll come right back. Okay, so in my Divi template here, I've created 5 rows for our 5 links. I've updated these links here just so that they're all different. And I've come over here and update. You'll see all 5 rows come in. This is important because if, let's say this author, okay, wanted to add a field, they can. So let's select a new link and then we're gonna update this. Let's come back to our advanced custom fields, and obviously it's not going to show up in here because we don't have it into our template. So let's go ahead and make a new row here and try to pull in that data for the 6th row. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's come over here. Well, it should read up as link 5 link, right? Okay, let's open this guy and you'll see it's not here. And so one thing we have to do is we have to go into a post and add the information in the field. Let's just go ahead and save this. Let's close this template so that all those changes take effect. And then reopen it. And let's come down here to our last link here. And again, look for the data. and you'll see now it shows up. So two different things you have to do. Don't think I showed that example well in here, but your author does need to come in here and place something. If they don't place anything in here, it won't show up here, okay? And you do need to come in and refresh your theme builder to add that row as well. Okay, so now you have a working repeater field. And as you remember in our instructions, we limited this to 5. Come in here, let's come to our maximum rows here and change this to 6. And if we come back in here, you'll see we have our multiple rows. So the workaround in this is you do have to pre-make these rows. But once you've done that and set a maximum, because you don't want to come over here to your template builder and be like, okay, my author wants 7 links, so I'm going to come in here and make a 7th link. Unfortunately, that's just the workaround with using the repeater field. If you use the code in the back end of your WordPress website, you wouldn't need to make all these rows here, okay? You do need to have the maximum settings set up in your repeater field. So once you have all that set up, you could come back and delete your dummy post that you created to set this all up. You could come in here and remove all these fields, all these rows. Okay, you could come in here and delete all these rows, update your post, and it does leave this empty space here, which I do not like. If you use advanced custom fields in the back end of your website, you could do if statements, and if it has rows, it will show the rows, and if it doesn't, it will remove the rows. And when I will find a workaround for this on Divi and post a video on that. But for now, this would be a great reason as to why you would limit those links to 3 links or something like that, so that repeater field doesn't remain empty. So let's just create a new post. So we're going to go to add new. We'll just call this repeater, and we'll use the default editor. Okay, so here's our notes. Repeater fields are awesome, and we're going to enter our URL. So let's go ahead and add our URL and publish this. Okay, and you'll see it has the link. And then also you'll see the other fields, it still has a space from them. Now, of course, you could go into the theme builder and delete, remove all this padding and margin and make this list nice and short. You could come into your advanced custom fields and limit it to like 3 links to make it nice and short. But otherwise, that's a great way to start with Divi and the repeater field from advanced custom fields.